Thank you, Eric, and I do want to sincerely thank all my colleagues for joining me today, and I'm honored to be in the foxhole with you all. Time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Right now, there's a powder keg in Israel that's going off. There could easily be battlefronts, 3 battlefronts in the very, very near future. And that's why we need to send a loud and clear message to Hamas, to Iran, to all their proxies that we do not tolerate terrorism. We do not tolerate crimes against humanity. This is now the second hour I've spent on the floor debating my friends from across the aisle, and they spend 3/4 of their time telling us why we should fund Ukraine. I agree with some of their arguments. I disagree with some of their facts. I disagree with many of their conclusions. So though they spend 3/4 of the time telling us why we should fund Ukraine, no one will stand up and say we should not fund Israel now. No one has an argument for that. They seem to be allergic to the word Israel. They seem to be afraid to use the word Israel, that something is inhibiting them from talking about the situation there nearly as much as they do about Ukraine. Again, like Senator Schmidt said, bring the Ukraine funding to the floor. Let's vote on that. If you don't need to use Israel as leverage to get what you want, that your priority is Ukraine funding, then bring the Ukraine funding. Everything's been said that could be said about Ukraine. Let's vote on it and let the country move on. But certainly don't hold Israel hostage over that. My friends from across the aisle today talked about that Ukraine is winning the war. I don't know how dumb they think Americans are. If Ukraine is winning the war, then why is Poland and Slovakia and Hungary abandoned Ukraine? Why is the front line not moving? 200,000 people have already died in Ukraine. How many more have to die? And the arguments they use for Ukraine are the same arguments I heard why we should stay in Vietnam and continue that fight when I was a child growing up. And I said if there was ever another Vietnam, I would do everything I could to stop it so not one more American would shed their life on these foreign wars. My friends across the aisle talk about getting aid to hospitals. They talk about getting aid to Gaza in general. If they're serious about that, then we need to tell Iran to stand down. The White House, the United States Senate can join the House and tell Iran to stand down. We're not going to tolerate terrorism. We need to tell Hamas, release the hostages now, to stop hiding behind women and children and using them as a human shield. We need to tell Hamas to surrender. But you don't hear those words from across the aisle. Instead, they want to join riots protesting my friends from Israel. And lastly, I'll close with this. President Eisenhower, President Reagan gave us peace through strength, but Joe Biden has given us war through weakness. Time is of the essence. We're happy to stand for any questions. Thank you. Go ahead.
It seems like one of the major sticking points here with the standalone package is the pay for it from the IRS. Do you all think that it's urgent enough to take that out and try to pass it without that pay for in order to get more Democrat support and possibly have Senator Schumer come on board with it?
Yeah, the statement I gave on the floor today is if they don't like the pay for, then show us Israel funding with another pay for. I think that it would divide our caucus. I think most of our caucus would like a pay for, but we're not married that it has to be the IRS. Wants to add on that? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.